I just started volunteering officially for the Bernie Sanders campaign about 24 hours ago. And I got my start in text volunteering. And that's something that I want to explain to you because I think that there's a lot of people in my audience that want to find some way to actually organize, to actually do something meaningful in the real world other than just watching YouTube videos. And there's a lot of creators that I know as well that want to be able to give you that. And I feel like I've stumbled upon a pretty easy way to do this. So let me explain the process of texting for Bernie. Because even if that sounds simple, hear me out because it gets even simpler. The first thing that they generally have you do, or the first thing they had me do at least, was to finish up 50 text chains that had been abandoned by other volunteers. Now, the Bernie campaign understands that we all have a limited amount of time available to us. So we all have the opportunity to hand off our unfinished text to another volunteer if we ever need some of our volunteering time back, which makes it a really flexible way to be able to invest your time with Bernie Sanders. So after that, I started my own personal campaign with 100 text threads. And since then, I have done another 4 campaigns of 50 text threads. Now, let me explain what I mean by a text thread. So, a lot of this is being done through a web app called Spoke. It allows you to go into this kind of text flow. Basically, my job as a volunteer, 9 times out of 10, is just to identify and pick a response based on how they answered the question that I asked. And then in doing so, Spoke generates an automatic reply for me. Now, I can change that reply or edit it or kind of more custom fit it to the situation, but usually the automatic reply works pretty well and I don't actually have to write a text message. Also, this isn't being done through my personal phone number, so it's not like I'm giving I'm not really doxing myself here, if that's a concern for people thinking about texting for Bernie. So there's actually very little texting involved and very little work on my part other than reading messages and pressing a button to send a response. This also means that my number is not being exposed in doing this, so there's little risk of backlash. With all of that being said, I've already found several opportunities to speak heart to heart with people and share my story by going off script, and this is encouraged as long as it's done in a way that the campaign would approve of. Basically, they tell us to be like Bernie. Don't get into arguments, don't trash other candidates, don't speak badly about people, don't get angry. Instead, empathize. Ask people why they feel the way that they do. Ask people what their hardship is, what their story is when you are in doubt. I have asked a lot of Trump supporters why they support Trump, and a lot of them honestly haven't responded, but I have gotten into at least a couple of exchanges with adamant Trump supporters to where I could at least get them to understand why I support Bernie. And I've done it basically by repeating kind of like the ethos for this channel, because I believe that Bernie kind of has the same thing. This is why I so adamantly support Bernie. But I feel like Bernie is trying to build a working class movement, and that is not necessarily a Democrat goal. It is a goal that encompasses a lot of Republican voters because most voters are working class, period, point blank, across the board. No matter what your affiliation is, you are more likely to be working class than otherwise. And that's the kind of movement that I'm trying to build. That is also the kind of movement that Bernie Sanders is trying to build. And that's why I feel like there's so much synergy for me in working with Bernie Sanders to achieve his goals, because his goals in a lot of ways are my goals, just because we both have that emphasis and focus on building a true working class movement. The point that I'm trying to get at here and sharing my experience with you is that if you're a Bernie supporter and you already like to send texts, but you don't really feel like you have the time to volunteer in a traditional capacity, I want to offer this as a great way to step up and do a little something for the campaign, with you only putting in limited time and limited effort and being able to stop at any time with volunteers like me here to be able to take over for you. So if you want to know how to get started, it's pretty simple. There are a couple ways to go about it. It's pretty easy to explain. Just go to berniesanders.com/text if you want to join the text team. There are other options. You can go to berniesanders.com/volunteer for more of those. You can also join the call team by going to berniesanders.com/call. All of these links will be in the description, by the way. But I just want to make it really, really, really clear that this is such a super simple and not time-intensive thing for you to do. Because even when you send out even like 50 text chains of your own, or even 100, when I did my first personalized campaign of 100, first you have to understand that probably half of the people aren't going to respond to you at all. I mean, just let's be real. Nobody likes unsolicited text. A lot of us just ignore them, you know? The same way we've been treating those political fundraising emails in our inbox for years now. Probably another 25% of people are going to reply with just the word stop, in which case you opt them out of the system. It's a quick 1-2 button press and you never have to deal with that person again. So 75% of those, the text that you send out initially, really are going to require almost no work to begin with. And then probably 20% of the people who are left aren't going to really require any sort of personalization on your part. They're pretty much going to answer the questions as asked, and really you just kind of record the responses in the system. It will generate the automatic replies for you, and you press send. You're done. Very little work. And for that last 5%, for that 5 people out of 100, well, I mean, you're just going to have to personalize some part of it. You might have to make a little bit of a pitch to them. You might have to reach out to them. Use your own personal experiences. Use this as an opportunity to do outreach. Use this as an opportunity to learn how to overcome objections and to speak with people who don't necessarily think like you. Use it as an opportunity to learn how to build bridges and open people's minds, because these are all tools that we will desperately need here in the immediate future, and tools that we need now more than ever. And this is a great kind of training wheelsy way to be able to learn all those things. And even the little amount of experience that I've had doing this so far, I greatly value it and greatly appreciate it. So my final call to action in this video is going to be to bluntly ask that you join me at berniesanders.com/text. You don't have to wait for one of the live seminars. There might be like 20 or 30 minutes worth of video that you can watch before doing it that isn't live. That worked for me. It's pretty simple. There's always people to support you on Slack, which is another app that the Bernie Sanders team uses pretty heavily. So you will always have both volunteer support people and paid staff that are there to help you just in case you have any questions. So really, there's no way to go wrong. If you ever feel like you're getting in over your head with anything, you can refer it to a staffer. If you ever feel like you've bitten off more than you can chew, you can just kind of opt out of your assigned set of texts, and a person like me is going to be able to pick them up for you. You're not abandoning these people unless you don't tell us that you're not going to respond to them. We will take it up for you. All right, that's all I got for you today. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you seriously think about how little effort it may require for you to change the world today. Thank you.